This woman's video has opened up a conversation I've been talking about for years, about sleep trauma and how much sleep trauma women have. And why is that? Because men are doing this to us in our sleep. They are essaying us, and they honestly have been doing it to us since we were children, a lot of us. Whether it's dad, grandpa, brother, stepdad, very big contender for doing that. Now, let me just get a little backstory, and then I want to talk about how I actually wrote about this. One of my very first articles, I wrote about this because it was talked about as if it was nothing. Okay, I'm gonna go over this in just a second. My very first article for Glamour magazine, I think I've written like maybe 20 for them, was about Suzanne Summers admitting that her husband does this to her and joking about it. But first I want to talk about, I will tag the creator in the video or whatever. But she was talking about how someone she was dating admitted that he had essayed his ex in their sleep. And he's out here walking around as if that like he's out there dating. Like, she left him immediately. But she said that by making that video, the comments she got on this video terrified her by the number of women who've reached out to her and were asking, was it this guy? Because so many women have this story. And but I'm telling you, one of the reasons, besides perimenopause and all kinds of other issues, men snoring. Y'all know a couple years ago, I made so many videos about how men traumatize us in our sleep, with, if they have PTSD they haven't dealt with, they get violent sometimes, especially if were active military. Like, this is dangerous to sleep next to men. They ruin our sleep because they will not deal with sleep apnea, which so many of them have. I did a whole series of that because so many men ruin the sleep of women, and women either don't have another option to get out of that room because there's, not a spare bedroom or whatever, but the men will not leave. They will not go sleep on the couch. They will not remove themselves. They don't care that it affects her. And some men purposely do this as a form of abuse and sleep deprivation. But a lot of times it is just pure laziness. They will not deal with their own health issues. And so the person next to them deals with it more. And I say this as somebody whose husband has sleep apnea. And once it started impacting my sleep, I was like, hey, I really think you have a problem. He got tested, boom, got and he sleeps like a baby now. We both benefit because he took care of it. But I want to talk about why there's so many things, with pregnancy and just PMS and all, like, there's so much setting us up to not sleep, but and trauma in general. But it's because so many of these men are doing stuff to us in our sleep. And I, just like her, when I started talking about this, how much sleep trauma women have because of men oftentimes trying to assault us while we are asleep, I had no idea how big the problem was until women shared their stories in my comments. And I was like, oh my God, that's actually how I've realized a lot of things. Anytime I talk about something on my page, when I talk about men being reckless in the outdoors and risking women's lives and children's lives regularly, and their own lives and the lives of big groups of people, I didn't realize just how bad it was until all these people shared their stories. I just had a woman working in that industry, but the sleep thing, I will never stop talking about this. The way women, if your first step to stop self-abandoning is protect your sleep, because these men will do nothing but ruin your sleep if you let them. I swear. And one of the craziest parts of it is that somehow this guy that she was dating didn't see anything that bad. Like, he admitted it. But he's out here dating as if he doesn't, as if he did not rape somebody. Whether they're drunk or sleeping, it doesn't matter. You cannot consent if you're not conscious, fully conscious. And as if I talked about this a lot when in this case, Giselle Pellico was happening. And I swear to God, this woman just cannot get peace. She had to sue. She had to sue for invasion of privacy. And she won. Because, you know what? She was violated in her sleep. She took her story out there to help, liberate women, and put a spotlight on what a big problem this is. And, the shame change sides and all this, she put herself out there. And then what? She's still having to protect herself from people violating her. After her husband had over 100 men essay her in her sleep while he drugged her. Okay. So this is such a big conversation, okay? Because I swear it's when you're sleeping. This is why, God, even drinking with men is so dangerous. The only reason I did not get violated at one particular house party when I was 17 is I was like blackout drunk, and it was all these guys. And one of, some of them started talking. One of the guys told me about this later on, and it didn't bother me at the time. And then I was like, oh my God, that really should have bothered me. All the guys were like, we could do stuff to her. And one of them was like, it's Mel. And so they didn't. But then, a year later, I woke up in a field. This is Tennessee, okay? Like, we just like drink in fields because we had nowhere else to go, right? I woke up in a field on a farm and with one of my closest guy friends on top of me, unbuttoning my pants. I came out of came out of my drunken state, and I was like, wait, what's happening? And he stopped, thank God. I am telling you, when you sleep and when you are intoxicated or just, on something, these men are so dangerous. So imagine finding out it's your husband doing it, and yet this has been normalized. So look at this. As if women aren't dealing with coercion enough. Like women are starting to realize that a lot of their husbands have been kind of more or less raping them for a long time by pressuring. Like, they are not owed anything. And yet so many women are forking their husbands because they don't want to deal with their mood. They know they're going to be a total prick if they don't, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of women, especially after they get divorced, realize, oh my God, I would like that. I didn't want to. It's like it was a duty. I didn't want to be doing. I literally was just part of the job. But then on top of that, they literally doing this in their sleep. And this man admitted it out loud and had no shame. And by the way, I did a live last night with Shayna Conde, who's a fellow journalist, and she's self-taught. And if you're on my Patreon, the top 2 levels, go watch that, because we talk about how we broke in. This was my very first, because I just got mad one day. I saw this on the news and I was like, what? And I've been pitching and I was pissed about this, and I pitched this, and this started a whole new like freelance writing career. Channel that anger, okay? Because I was like, and I was like, oh wow, that instead of just being mad and sad, this happened. So you can go watch our live. It lives on my Patreon forever. It's under the playlist of lives. Just click that link, and it's like a 2.5 hour conversation. We talk about a lot of stuff. We talk about how we both broke in. And thank you, Patreon people. Y'all are why I'm able to do this and pay my bills, because the apps really don't. So I'm just going to read you a tiny part of it. So I want you to see how much this is normalized. They had been going on a whole tour just talking about how great their Schmegs life is. And then this is Megyn Kelly, okay? I do not watch Megyn Kelly. That woman is unbelievably racist and just awful person. So of course, this doesn't surprise me that this happened on her show. So when Kelly asked how her, Summer brags that her husband, 81, is an animal now, thanks to the testosterone supplements he's been taking. Sometimes I'm not awake for it, though. And everyone has a good laugh in the audience. Like, I saw this clip on, I think, Facebook or something. And then I went and looked it up more, and I was like, oh my God. They just said it. Now, this is right before Me Too hit Hollywood. But actually, it was right after. This is when that conversation of like, oh my God, everyone's getting raped, it was started to go more mainstream. So I'm not sure if they would admit this openly today, but I love that they did. And let's look at what Megyn Kelly said. Alan must think those are some of the best times, when the stimmer wench is asleep and he can just do whatever he wants because your dumbass isn't talking or being like there. Imagine saying that joke. That joke is so, but anyway, fine by me. And everyone laughs again. This little 3-sentence exchange is so telling and so terrifying. Two women and this old man have a good laugh about how the best schmegs he has is when she's asleep and he's raping her. Now, I don't remember this part at all. Things got weirder when Summer tells a story about going to Canada, her husband's home country, and talking to a lawyer friend about his current grape case. So I don't know. This man must have I don't even know much about this man. Actually, let me know if you want a part 2. I can go into her and him, because their relationship sounds so gross. She sounds like a hostage, honestly. They never spent a day apart. They were together all the time. Like, this whole interview was crazy. Let me know if you want to deep dive on this. Say in the comments. Now, if you don't know who Suzanne Summers is, that's totally fine. Most younger people won't. But she was in this show called Three's Company. She did the Thigh Master. She became like a health and wellness person, like Gwyneth Paltrow and whatever. And also, like, didn't want to take normal like treatments for cancer, and she's dead now. But anyway, let me know if you want a little bit deeper dive on this, because I actually have more to say. But, it wasn't just on this show. She keeps saying that, how much they have this amazing schmex life because they take all these hormones. Who do you think is making her do that? Like, who do you think is influencing that? Anyway, please write in the comments if you say Summers or whatever. I don't know. I usually say I sleep through one of them. That's usually not that one at 4 o'clock in the morning, she joked. But, then again, around 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm in the mood. So she's telling anybody who will listen, but I don't think she's like in a call for help. Like, yeah, isn't this great? Like, we have sex so many times. We can't keep our hands off each other. We do it at least twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day by noon. 4 in the morning, this man wants to do this. And, I'm asleep during that one. So she keeps talking about it like, he's just boys will be boys. He's just really horny in the morning. And she's like, what is this thing about 40-30 in the morning that's suddenly like, oh, there it is. I'm like, could you just wait till the sun comes up? But then goes on to say, like, God, our relationship has always been amazing. She even said, the past 42 years, we have not spent even an hour apart. And our sons refer to our relationship as functionally codependent. So, like, I can't believe that they're out here talking about this and no one who interviewed them and pushed back at all. I can believe it. And this is what I'm talking about. It is so normalized to grape women that it's only been illegal. This was back in my glamour piece. It's only been illegal in the U.S. since 1993. But unfortunately, there are a lot of states, and that was thanks to Lorena Bobbitt. Thank you, Queen. More of that energy. The woman who threw it out the car window because this man was beating her and raping her all the time. And then the media went on to make a mockery out of her. I actually wrote another article about this, but after Jordan Peele made the documentary about her and how amazing she is. But this is what I'm talking about. They are literally bragging about this. This was back in 2017. And there's still states where it might as well be legal to grape your wife because the rules are so vague. And then you got France where he can have 100 men come over and do that to you, and you get 20 years. Because one grape is the same as 100. Doesn't matter. That's how it works over here. And on some level, I do believe in the mentality behind, like, being less punitive and more about I'm not for prisons and like the carceral system, but also the way they treat certain crimes versus other crimes. It's so messed up. That doctor who essayed all the hundreds of children. Let me know if you want this story. The trial has been happening 20 years for graping and essaying children while they were under anesthesia. 20 years. And the funny thing is about this sleep stuff, let me know if y'all want me to do another series on sleep stuff. I have so much sleep trauma, y'all, from throughout, and the thing is that the more, if you have an abuser in your home, they screw you for life. They screw you for life because you end up having sleep problems for life. And then you go into perimenopause and midlife and all this stuff, and your hormones are already like, you're never sleeping again, bitch. That plus all this, I will always believe that my narcolepsy, I have narcolepsy, I've been treated for it, diagnosed with it since I was in my early 20s. You will never convince me that that's not associated with what happened to me as a child while I was sleeping. In this one study, it says the results were striking. Women with childhood trauma were twice as likely to experience persistent disruptions in sleep. And then it's the same thing in adulthood. So there's a lot of, and you know what? It's children that this doesn't, predators don't care about gender when it comes to what they're going to do, right? And women and children and femmes are more vulnerable right? And you know what? There's a lot of men who are doing this is because this stuff happened to them and they won't deal with it. But that's another story. But there's so many sleep disorders are a result of trauma. And then the men who have this trauma who will never deal with it, whether it's from literally being in a war, in the military and stuff like that, or from their past, what their daddies did to them or someone else, then they have sleep stuff too. But if you sleep next to these men, watch out. They may be doing this stuff to you while they're unconscious. But this video is really about the men consciously doing this. I am so tired of our culture normalizing this. Women, the more vulnerable you are, right? Whether and then if you have housing instability, you're sharing a room with a lot of people. I mean, women who are unhoused, God, I don't know how they are surviving. I just, so when you're in poverty, if you live in a home with addictions, if you disabled women and femmes, but even, sleep. It's considered torture. It's a form of torture in the military, in the international community. It's a form of sleep deprivation is a form of torture. And we have all these women out there who have sleep problems because of all of this crap going on inside our bodies, in addition to countless instances of trauma while we're trying to sleep. There is a special place in hell for men who are doing this to women when they're at their most vulnerable, trying to rest. And especially when those women are sharing a bed with them because they trust that man and love that man and are probably doing endless labor for that man. The audacity to be doing that. And then, like this guy who that woman was talking about in her video, they broke up and then he goes out there and just starts dating. And then just drops that little nugget of truth as if that would not be disqualifying. That, a lot of men don't think anything is wrong with SA. They just know it's illegal. They don't see anything wrong with it. They just know they need to not get caught. Be careful out there, y'all. And please, however you can and if you can, please center your peace and your rest. A lot of us get serious illnesses because we don't rest. And that abusive ex of mine, he used sleep deprivation as a way. That's how I stayed with him. One of the reasons I stayed with him for so long. I was too exhausted. The idea of leaving would require all this stuff. And when you're woken up, all through the night for ridiculous reasons, well, you're probably going to be less motivated to do anything about it. I'm telling you, man, these men know exactly what they're doing. Please take care of yourself. Please take care of each other. And if you have a snoring partner, this should be a non-negotiable. He either goes and gets help for sleep apnea or whatever it is, or he sleeps in another room. They are taking years off of your life. It's sleep deprivation. And it's either it's intentional or they're just lazy. I don't care. Same result. Anyway, let me know what y'all think. Sorry, this is a hard one, but it's going viral, and I really think we should be talking about it. And if you like my work and you want to support me and my work, follow me on Patreon. There's also a free tier just to keep up with me. I'm going to be in the U.S. pretty soon for a month, and I'll be sharing most of that over on Patreon. And you won't see me as much for about a month this summer. Don't worry about me. I will try to do what I can, but I'm going to be visiting family and stuff. So trying to try really hard not to spend the entire time trying to work. Because I haven't been home in 4 years. Anyway, and let me know. Like, comment, share, hit the notifications, leave a comment, all that stuff. Let me know if you want that Suzanne Summers deeper dive. Sleeping in the woods in a truck is probably safer than sleeping next to a man. Sleeping on the beach on a river with no tent's probably safer than sleeping next to a man. Or a truck you worked on and you sleep on the tailgate, but guess what? No man. Sleeping on a patio, that's still safer. Sleeping in your friend's car, but she's not a man. Sleeping in a a trailer, carrying your own crap to avoid sleeping next to a man. Sleeping on a porch Anywhere, just sleeping, just not next to a man. Sleeping in a cubicle in New York City because their job provides free housing. But next near men. That was probably the most dangerous, honestly. And sleeping outside, you got animals crawling all over you, but it's safer than a man. This is probably the safest place I slept on this planet Earth was in my mom's tummy next to my sister.